As an object-oriented language, Java allows one class to inherit from another class, also known as having a class derive from another class. The way we do that is when we're declaring the new class, we use the extends keyword and identify what class we are extending or we are inheriting from. What happens is that that derived class has the characteristics of the base class, but then can add its own specializations to create more capabilities. To see what this looks like, say we have a class here, we're going to call it our cargo flight class. What we want it to do is to have all the same basic characteristics as our flight class. So we simply say extends and then flight. And so now the cargo flight class will have those characteristics that come from the flight class, then can of course add its own. Right? So as a cargo flight, maybe things we want to keep track of is how much cargo space we have. So we'll say our cargo flights have 1,000 cubic feet of cargo space. And of course we want to keep track of how much of that we're using. And so we'll just go ahead and add some methods to this. So we'll say that, well, we'll have a method to make sure we have enough space for whatever the size is of what we're trying to add. So we just make sure that if we add that to how much the space we've already used, make sure it doesn't exceed our max cargo space. We'll have a method for handling when we do try to exceed that. In this case, we'll just display a message saying there's not enough space. And then, of course, we'll have a method here that says add one package. And that method will accept the dimensions of the package, the height, the width, and the depth of that package. So what we need to do then inside this method is that when we receive a package, we'll calculate the total size, right? Simply multiply the height times the width times the depth. And then we'll call our has cargo space. And then if that returns true, we'll go ahead and add the size of that package to how much space has been used. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and handle the situation of not having enough space, which again just prints out a message. To use this, we can go out here and just declare a cargo flight reference and new up a cargo flight. Then we can, of course, add a package to it. Right? So in this case, we're adding a package with a height of 1 foot, a width of 2.5 feet, and then a depth of 3 feet, right? Giving us a total size of 7.5 cubic feet. We add that into our cargo flight. Now remember that since our cargo flight extends flight, it's going to have access to the characteristics of the flight class. So our flight class has this add one passenger method. So with a cargo flight, we can go ahead and new up an instance of a passenger, in this case Jane, and still add one passenger, Jane, to the cargo flight. So we've got these extended capabilities as well as the base class capabilities. As we work with a derived class, instances of that derived class can be assigned to references of the base class type. Right? So if we take a look at some code for that, remember that we still have our cargo flight here that extends the flight class. Well, we can go ahead and create a reference of type flight F, and then new up a cargo flight and assign it to that reference. What that means then is that as a flight reference, it can use the flight capability. So we can new up a passenger and of course add one passenger, Jane, right, to that flight. The thing is that we only have access to capabilities that are visible to the flight class. So if we try to do f.add1package, right, even though a cargo flight knows how to add one package, a flight doesn't. So that wouldn't be a valid call because we can only access methods that are visible to the reference type. The value of this capability, though, it allows us to perform flight-based actions without being concerned about the specific type of the instance. Right? So we think about a situation like this. Say we create an array of flights. We'll call it squadron. It makes room for 5 flights. Well, we could have the first member of that be an instance of the flight class, the next member be an instance of the cargo flight class, and keep mixing that up. So we have another cargo flight, a flight, and then another cargo flight. And again, we can loop through this doing all the flight-based stuff. For the cargo flight ones, we may want to do some extended things for cargo flights, but it allows us to very easily group these actions.